Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel, LifeSnapShot. Evelyn, Greg and Muttley here from Australia. Check out our other videos, just cost of living here day by day. Some of the collections and things I like to do. I like to collect coins and stuff like that, investments and everything. We really don't know where this channel's going, and we just dove in and started, and we're getting a little bit of support here. So everyone that's doing that, really appreciate. If it's your first time dropping by, please consider subscribing. Hope you enjoy the video. Now, I wanted to talk about something personal. When I do this video, I might get a little bit emotional. I had an attempt at it last night, and I'd had a few drinks, and I really got too emotional, I think, for probably people's liking. So I decided to delete it and start again. And it's the real me now. I've got no alcohol in my system. I'm a little bit bummed over. But anyway, so I wanted to talk about when I do talk about things, it's my real life, and hopefully it helps people out in all sorts of situations, be it financial, personal, yeah. And I wanted to talk about this for one reason, to let some people out there know that maybe they need a little push in a direction to make these final decisions. And what I'm talking about is I was adopted when I was very, very young. I was adopted when I was not even 6 months old. The story goes like this. When I was very young, I only found out about the actual story. I have to sort of start at the beginning, then go through the middle part, and then come back to probably the beginning so you understand. I'm trying to keep this quick. Anyway, I didn't know I was adopted. My adopted parents didn't tell me. I was adopted, like I said, at 6 months old. I didn't know. My parents decided not to tell me as I was growing up. The only reason why I found out is my sister, who also was adopted from another family, and I had a brother who was also adopted, so none of us were bloodline from another family. Was having an argument with mum one day, and I was only like 10 or 11 years old, and Tammy, my sister, screamed out, "Well, why did you adopt us?" And that was my first introduction to going, hang on, I was adopted. What? You know what I mean? I never ever thought that I was adopted, never had a reason. Now, having said all this, my adopted parents were absolute brilliant, okay? Gave the life that all children dream about. You know what I mean? Holidays, great presents. We're only middle class. We weren't rich. Dad was a hardcore worker as an accountant. Mum was just a housewife. We had hand-me-downs. Do you know what I mean? We not struggled, but middle class. Yeah. But when it comes to birthdays, Christmas, holidays, you know what I mean? I got the best life. So wouldn't change a thing if I had the chance to change it. But anyway, life goes on. So, and I never questioned it from there on in. I never had to sit down and ask my parents, my adopted parents, hey, what's going on? Why did this happen? Or anything like that. My mum and my dad were my mum and my dad, and once I found out from that very young age, it was something that I just completely forgot about, and it was just normal. My mum is my mum and my dad's my dad. I didn't have to question anything. But as you get older, it's always something that you think about, right? So, Dad passed away in 2008, and so then I become sole carer to look after mum. She's getting older, and mum passed away not long ago, November 2023, which just brought a flood of emotions back. Do you know especially when someone dies in your family, especially like your mother or your father, something huge, it makes you think, and it made me think. Anyway, my dad was an extremely, how do I put this? When it come to paperwork, he kept everything. Do you know what I mean? Which was really good for me. So I'm starting to go through all the finances and everything. I'm now the pretty much the power of attorney, the executor of the estate. I'm starting to go through all this paperwork, and I find my original adoption papers. Now, I don't think I would have pushed it any further because I really didn't want to. I don't feel I needed to know, but I found my original adoption papers with my original birth name, which really blew me away. My name is Greg, but my real name when I was born was given as Adam, and I put the date of birth together. My father kept this paperwork, 1972 paperwork. I've got it here somewhere. Anyway, So that's how I realized, okay, this is a sign. I need to see if I can find my real mother and father. Okay. So I got onto that heritage and I started asking some questions. And before you know it, I put a DNA, I did a DNA test and found out that I'm part German, part Irish, which was pretty cool. You know what I mean? I never thought that would be the thing, you know what I mean? So that was kind of cool. But then I started linking the heritage site to Facebook to try and dig deeper. And sure enough, I came up and found my cousin, my first cousin, and it was a female, and we started talking online, and it was just mind blowing. Think about that. I've got a cousin that I've never ever seen, but is actually, you know. And then what happened was when I started telling her who I was, my full name, she started putting all the dots together. And with her help, she said to me, I think I know who your father is. Actually, I know who your father is. And I'm like, and she goes, I know him. I talk to him. And I'm like, holy cow. All right, this is huge now. So you've gone from all this excitement to doing this to now there's no turning back. You're actually going to meet this person and they're your father. Anyway, to cut that part of the story short, it wasn't him. He was the brother of my mother. And it all came around, and now suddenly I know who my real mother is, and she's still alive. Of course, there was a shock there because also I have three sisters that I've never met that are actually my sisters. One's a half sister. So I'm now going, oh my God, I'm about to meet my real mother, real sisters, and a half sister. And what's going on with my dad? So what I want people to take away from this is at this point, right, you're probably thinking, wow, this is huge, this is great, this is going along good, and everything's positive, that this is, I should have done this. Well, now I find out that it's not all rosy. Basically what happened was, and I told my mother, my real mother, this, I never will judge her. The decision she made was the decision she's made. Now, you think about it, it's 1972. She's going out with a guy. They're just boyfriend and girlfriend. She falls pregnant. She decides that's very, very frowned upon back in 1972. And she doesn't want to get married to this guy. It was just a fling, okay? So she decides to have me without her mother and father finding out. So she goes over the other side. She says, I'm going over the other side of the country, Perth, the other side of Australia, to work. But actually she went over there to have me and then adopt me out. So there's the story. It's all coming together now. So it's not, all rosy and all, peachy clean. It's all, there's a little bit of a, okay, kind of I wasn't wanted maybe feeling. But don't get me wrong, I didn't feel like that. And I certainly, if I did, I would have told her. I would have told my real mum, mate, I don't like what you've done, but I didn't. She had her reasons why, and they were pretty legitimate, real reasons. And I do not hold anything against her. Not to mention the fact, and this is, I think, the biggest part I wanted to tell her, is the reason, whatever the reasons were that you gave me up for an adoption, my life was so good. I wouldn't, if I had it over again, I would say do it again. So your decision to adopt me was probably, if you think you could have given me a good life, well, guess what? The people who adopted me gave me that life times 1,000. So don't think for a second that I care. And also what also it brought up was, why after 52 years would he want to find his mother? They were all talking amongst themselves. They all admitted this to me, and they thought I wanted something. I wanted some money or financial or something like that. It was even a joke there because they said, listen, none of us have good kidneys. If you want a kidney, forget it, Of course these things will arise. I'm reaching out to people that maybe were in my position and know they're adopted, that, okay, get ready for what's about to occur if you're willing to go through with it, all right? It might not all be what you expect. It probably isn't most scenarios. So, but for me, the relief is just massive. Okay, all my life now is complete. Okay, so I obviously I asked about Dad, and she said, "Look, I've got one photo of him back in 1972." Can you imagine the long hair? That, you know what I mean? And they're just standing there as a couple. That's it. There's one photo she's got. Okay, from that day onwards, when she fell pregnant with me, they went their separate ways. She said, "All I know is he was in a band." So I'm guessing he's passed away. I think she gave me his name. Can't remember. She did give me his name, but I've just come up with dead ends. And I'm not. I would like to have met him just to say, "Hey, you got a son," and I turned out with 5 toes and five fingers, 10 toes and 10 fingers, but all's good. Like I said, it's been one of those massive moments in my life. I'm glad I did it, you know. And having Evelyn, my girlfriend, was a huge part of me doing it, because if I didn't have a supportive girlfriend, which I class her as my wife, I will never ever leave her. I love her to death. I want us to live our lives out together. I don't think I would have probably done it, because the support she gave me, just that she's strong when it comes to things like that, and I can emotionally quickly break down. So without her, I probably wouldn't have done it as well. So, but anyway, I hope that gives someone some insights on me personally, because like I said, this channel is all about me letting out some steam and talking about the things that have happened in my life, and hopefully giving someone some advice. I ain't no professional. I always say this because I do give some financial advice out and stuff like that. I ain't no psychiatrist, so maybe this video is like that. I'm not a professional, so I'm not saying go and do what I do, right? But maybe there's something curious about somebody out there who is adopted, or there's something not doesn't fit with their family and they need to ask the questions. Well, you might not like the answers, but I feel, for me, I'm so glad that I did what I could do and found out, and now I know my real mum, and it's not like we go and see each other every week. Last time I spoke to her was the end of last year. Okay, and it was just great to get her off the chest, and I feel that she sleeps good at night knowing, you know what, all those years ago she might have been really umming and ahhing, oh, is this the right decision? She might have been just like, bang, no, I'm getting rid of him. That's the best thing to do. Well, now she knows it was the best thing to do. It was the right thing to do. Okay, so I hope that helps out somebody in some sort of weird and wonderful way. Appreciate you listening. It's been good for me to get this off my chest and throw it out there into YouTube. Why not? Like I said, this channel, we don't know where it's going. We are just blessed that we've got people following us and enjoying us. Chuck the comments down below. You know the drill. Stay happy, stay healthy. Till the next one. See you soon.